Alright, so today I'm going to go over Chapter 8 of the Adobe Photoshop CC Classroom in a book. And this is on vector drawing techniques. And the first part of the chapter talks a little bit about bitmap images and vector graphics and how they're different, and especially when you upsize them or just expand them, you lose detail in the bitmaps, where the vector graphics will retain their sharpness and edge. It talks a little bit about paths and pen tool, and that's what our first little assignment on this works on, is the pen tool and how to make the pass. So the first thing you want to do on the left side on your toolbar is click on the pen, and if you left click and hold down, you'll notice that you have the pen, you have a freeform pen, a curvature pen, add anchor point tool, delete anchor point tool, and convert point tool. The main thing is you want to be on that pen tool right there. Up at the top here, you want to make sure that shape is selected from this drop down menu. You want to make sure that the fill has nothing in it, so the fill is no on that, no fill. The stroke, you just want to pick a green color. Any green color will work just fine. On the pixels, you want to make sure that you have 4 pixels width, so that's how big the line is going to be, so just type in 4 there. And over here you want to also make sure that rubber band is not selected from this area right here, and then come back on over here to the line here and make sure on the alignment you go down and have it aligned in center. Here it's aligned at the top, bottom, you want to make sure it's center, so center alignment from the pen. And then click anywhere inside away from your area here, because if you click in your area you're going to create a line, so click over there to drop. To get rid of any of these menus, just click up there. Now my picture is this size, but sometimes it's a little easier to zoom in, so I'm going to press Z on my keyboard and zoom in a little bit so I can see this picture a little easier. And the first thing is to make a straight line, and a straight line is relatively simple. You're just going to click on the A dot and click on the B dot, and that creates your straight line. Now you want to go ahead and press enter or return to make sure that line stays there, because if you don't, it's going to continue on. So for example, I have my first dot there, I have my second one here, then if I come over here and click on my A, you'll see that it attaches across there because I didn't put return on the last line that I made. So right once I make that last point and I want to stop that particular line, I just press return. So next one, we click A, and then when we click on B, we're going to hold the mouse. So when I say click, I'm clicking the left button always. So when I click, I'm going to hold my button down and I'm going to drag, and you see that we get those 2 handles out there, and I'm going to drag that one end over to that blue circle, and that creates an arc. So instead of a straight line, now we have this arc. And we do the same thing here on C. We click and drag to that blue circle, and we created an arc there. So that's what makes this pen tool so valuable. You can create arcs, circles, straight lines, just about any shape you want, and you can do it relatively easy. Now the last one here, all we gotta do is just click on this because it's ending there, so it's automatically going to take whatever circle is on this side. So because we've already established our radius here, it's going to take that radius and continue it over to here. So again, I'm going to press return or enter to make sure that that one stays where it's supposed to be, and I don't continue off on my next one from that line there. So again, I'm going to click A, click and hold and drag to the blue, and click on C and hold and drag to the blue, click on D and hold and drag to the blue, and you see now I can go ahead and just bend that line right around here, and F. Now the idea on most of the time, and here just G, I'm just going to click and that'll continue the same arc that I have here. Now in most cases you want to make your arc as far as away as possible when you are outlining something that makes a line straight, but you do want the arc to follow whatever it's supposed to, the roundness that's following. You notice here we're going to draw an outline of a cup, and we make very few clicks around that cup, and here we just make 1, 2, and then 3 clicks finally to make that handle. So once we establish an arc, we want to keep it going. You don't want to have a whole bunch of clicks in between. So we're going to start with A. I'm going to click on A and then just click on B. That's going to give me a straight line there. I'm going to click on C, straight line there. Click on D, straight line there. And I'm going to click on E and there's a straight line. Now this is the first curved line that I want. So when I click on F, I'm going to hold my mouse button and drag to the blue, and that creates my radius there that I want. Same way on G. Now notice how far away G is from F and E. So when I click on that and drag my line over to, or drag my handle on over to the blue dot there, it creates the arc, and it follows this arc almost perfectly. And then all I have to do is just click here. I don't have to drag or anything, just click and it's going to follow the same arc that is created here. I'm going to move on up here and to my A, and you see that that circle represents a close. So once I click on that, that closes this loop around. And I'm just going to press return, and there's my outline of my cup. So that's just a quick little practice of using the pen. Now we're going to apply it to our image. The first thing I want to do is open up my cup image, and I'm just going to go up here to the top, File and Open, and it should direct me to my Lesson 8 folder because that's where I started from. And I'm going to click on my Start PSD. And once I have that, I'm going to press Open, and that's going to open up my Start image here. Now the first thing I want to do is save it as a working file so that I know that it's not going to save over my Start one, and if I make any mistakes I won't be able to go back and get my original picture. So I'm going to save as, and the same thing we've done on all the other chapters. And I'm just going to put 08 working. And I'll press enter. And so now I have this as a working, and you can see here it says working PSD right at the top there. So the first thing I'm going to do is zoom in a little bit. And again, I'm holding down the Z key and just zooming in on my cup. Now I'm going to hold down my space bar and click on my mouse and just drag, and I can drag this cup wherever I want to. And I'm going to release that. Now we have two things here. We have the outside cup and we have the inside handle here. And you can see that when you put them both on, they overlay on top of each other. And for now, we just want the outside of the cup because we're going to follow the outside of this cup. So we have two things that we're going to do here. First one is do the outside of the cup. Now, of course, we're going to start right here. Big old start here. Pretty obvious. Make sure you're on the pen tool. You can use all of the same stroke patterns. That's not going to make that much difference. So I'm going to click on A right here at the start, and I'm going to go to B, and what I'm looking at is I'm following the cup rim around. So you see that this dot, you can click way up there. That's going to give you a pretty wide cup. It doesn't really matter because you're going to make a graphic from this, but I just like to follow the edge of the cup. So I'm going to follow the edge of the cup. I'm going to click on B, and I'm going to put Command Z because I forgot to click and hold, and drag out to my handle spot right here at the end, and you see that it created that nice little arc that follows the cup. C, I'm going to click again, I'm following the rim of the cup, and I'm going to drag to the handle location, which is right there, and that followed the cup perfectly. D, same way, click and drag right to there, to D there, and because my line is facing directly down here, I can just go ahead and click on E right here, and that line is going to follow right along the edge of the cup there. And again, from F, click and drag my handle to that spot right there, the red dot, and click and drag my handle to the red dot here, and I'm going to click on H right there, so it terminates there. So now when I click on I, it's going to be a straight line up to the handle beginning. I'm going to go to J, click and drag out to the handle location here, and same way with K, click and drag out. L, click and drag out. M just needs to click, and N needs just to click, and then back to A, and you can see where we close. We have that close symbol there on next to our pen, and click on that, and I have my shape outlined. I want to put return or enter to confirm that this is the outline shape that I want. Now, one of the things I should have mentioned before is that once you click, when you have this shape here, this drop down and it has a shape, when you make your first click, you create a shape layer right here, and this is your shape of your image here, shape that you just drew with your pen tool around. And you also create a path layer over here, and you see it's shape 1, shape path. And so it automatically creates that once you start working with the pen tool with the shape. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to get rid of this inside part here in this cup because it just looks like an outside of a cup. We want to add or delete this inner part right here for the handle. So the first thing we want to do is we want to turn off the outside of the cup template and we want to turn on the inside of the handle template. You want to make sure that the shape layer is selected, and in the path you want to make sure that you select the shape 1 path, so that way it creates that path on this layer right here. The next thing you want to do is you want to come up here to the top and click the down arrow next to new layer, and you want to subtract from shape because we're going to make this outline around here. We want to subtract that from the shape that we already have. So click on subtract from shape. So I want to go ahead and go back to my layers panel, make sure I'm on the shape, and I'm going to start drawing the inside here. So I'm going to click on A and then B and drag to my handle point, C and drag to my handle point, D and drag to my handle point, and then E and drag to my handle point. Now I want this shape to come straight down here, but because I have this arc right here, if I just click on A, it's going to make an arch inside here, you see. So it's going to try to duplicate the arc that would come from here to here because of the handle. So if I press Command Z to go back, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my pen tool near this handle. I'm going to hold down the Alt or Option depending on whether you're on a Mac or PC. And now I can click, when it changes that little V shape there, I can click on this handle. Notice that I can adjust this handle without affecting the one above it. And I'm just going to line it up straight with A and then let go. And now when I click the A, you'll see that I make a nice straight line here, and that's important to do that. And I press return to set that in as to that's the other part that I want, and to add to this shape, I should say. Now I'm going to go over to my path here, and we have our cup outline. You see that the handle is subtracted from it. And I'm going to double click on this, and I'm going to change the name to cup outline now. So that way it retains this path over here, and it will keep it so that you're always going to have a shape 1 shape path. So this way we have a separate cup outline path. So with that done, now I'm going to go back to my layers panel here, and I click on my layers, and we don't need the inside handle, the shape 1, or the outside cup. We don't need any of those. All we need is our background now. So I'm going to click on this inside handle and just press on the trash can and tell it yes, I want to get rid of that layer. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other 2 layers. Yes. And click on the trash can for that outside cup layer. And yes. So now I just have my background layer. And press Command 0 or Command 0 and the numbers keypad. That's going to reduce my image to fill the frame. Now is a good time to save that image. So I'm just going to go up to File, and I'm just going to put Save because it's already saved as a working PSD. Okay, so you can see that my cup is here and it has the outline shape over it, and to get rid of that, all I just really have to do is go over to Paths and click off it. But we actually want to have our path clicked here, and we want to be over in Path. And what we're going to do is we're going to define a custom shape. So I'm going to go up to Edit and come down to Define a Custom Shape right here and click on that. And it's going to ask me to name this. So I'm going to name this Coffee Cup and press OK. And now if I go over to my shape tool over here, which is the custom shape tool right over here in my tool panel, and I click this down arrow and I drag down to the bottom here. Oops, let me turn on, you'll probably see it has small thumbnails. But if you see that we have some custom shapes here at the top, and we have folders with different custom shapes in it. But if I drag down to the bottom, you see my coffee cup here that I just created. So that's my coffee cup shape. So I can click on that, and now my coffee cup shape shows up here. I'm in my shape tool, and when I click and drag here, and I'm going to hold down the shift while I do this, I'm going to hold down the shift, I'm going to click and I drag, you can see that my coffee cup shape is appearing on the image. Now, in the book tells you about 2 inches high. So by holding down the shift, it makes it proportional. If I let go of the shift, then I can make a skinnier cup or a fatter cup or a shorter cup. But right now I want it to stay proportional, so roughly about 2 inches high. And I let go, and there's my shape of my coffee cup on my image now. Alright, so I have my shape here, so what I want to do is I want to go back over to my layers panel, and I want to make sure that this coffee cup layer is selected, and I want to reselect my pen tool. So I have my pen tool. You can just press P for that also. And I want to go up here to where it says fill, and I want to click on black for my fill layer. And now you see that my coffee cup is filled with black, and to get rid of the green stroke around it, I just come and put cancel on the stroke. And so now when I click on my background, you see that the stroke has disappeared off the coffee cup. When I click on the coffee cup, it's going to show the stroke around it, but when I click off it, it will disappear. Okay, so I selected my coffee cup layer again. Inside my coffee cup layer, I want to go ahead and, by the way, I just press return on that so I can get rid of the line that's around it. So in my coffee cup, I want to put a lightning bolt, and that's going to match the verbiage I'm going to bring in here in a minute. So again, I'm going to come back over here to my shape, custom shape tool, click on that. On this one here, I'm going to put subtract from shape, and I want to click on that. And then I'm going to go ahead and click my down arrow next to my shapes, drag this up, and on the second row there should be a lightning bolt. Now sometimes you may not have the exact same things in there, but there should be a lightning bolt is a pretty general one that's in most of them. But I'm going to click on that. So once I have my lightning bolt selected, I want to go ahead and make sure that subtract from shape is selected, and you can see that it's a little clear square overlaying filled square. And in my coffee cup, I'm just going to click and drag across it, and once I let go, you see that the clouds or the sky shows up behind it. And so now that shape is subtracted from my main shape here in the coffee cup. I press return to accept that, and you see that now my coffee cup has my lightning bolt in it. Now we're going to import a smart object. In this case, it's going to be the text for the fake coffee company that we're creating here. What I want to do is I want to select the move tool here. So we want to make sure that our coffee cup is selected. I've already selected my move tool, and we're going to go up to file and go down to placed linked, and we're going to click on that. And it's going to open up a window, and generally it will go back to the lesson 8 folder, wherever you last were. And we're going to click on logo type here and go ahead and press place. And you see that comes up as a small little logo here. We're going to drag that on up to the top of the coffee cup there, or roughly about the top of the coffee cup. And I'm going to drag this corner and just drag it on out. And I want to keep dragging it until it's about the height of the coffee cup. And that looks pretty close, and move it on back. And again, it comes in transform mode, transform. So once I get it to the size and the location that I want, I just go ahead and click on my check mark or press return or enter, and that will make that right next to my coffee cup. And you see that we create a new logo type layer here, and this is of course a smart layer, which allows us to adjust it and make changes to it as we wish without damaging the layer. Now this looks okay, but it's kind of flat, so we want to add some style to it. So we want to add a style layer to the logo type. So I'm going to click on the logo type. I'm coming down here to FX and click on that, and I want to go to color overlay. And once I click on color overlay, you see that the layer style panel comes up, and we have our color overlay. And we want to select a color, and in this case we do want to select red. So I'm just going to make it a little bit brighter red, like maybe something like that, and click OK. So I think the book has this a dark burgundy, so let's bring that. Maybe I like brighter colors, but I'll go with the book and go with the dark burgundy. So also, while I'm here, I want to put a bevel and emboss on. Now if you just click on this check box right here, it really doesn't add that much to it. What you want to do is you want to click on the bevel and emboss to make sure that everything is accepted here. And we're going to accept all of the defaults here, and that looks pretty good, so I'm going to press OK. Now you see that our effects are on our logo type here, and we actually want to put the effects on the cup here. Now the easiest way to do that is just to go ahead and hold down the Alt Option button and click and drag the effects over to the coffee cup and let go, and you see that it duplicates the exact same effect on the layer, whatever layer you happen to drop it on. So that sort of makes it easy for us to add them and not redoing the same thing over and over again and trying to get it exact every time. So by copying and pasting, we copy both the bevel emboss and the color overlay onto the coffee cup. So once it's done, you can go up to File and you go ahead and Save As, and I'm going to save it as a 08 finish. And now chapter 8 is basically done. There's some extra credit things which are kind of fun to do, but for the main part of the chapter, that's all that needs to be done. Thanks for tagging along. Hope you enjoyed that, and stay tuned for the next chapter, which will be Advanced Compositing, where we start doing some rather fun stuff with Photoshop.